Executive Chef Nicholas Armstrong here from Ciro's Restaurant at 885 2nd Avenue in Manhattan. Today we're going to be cooking a slow-cooked beef and beer stew. So the first thing in our recipe here, I got some chopped meat. You can use any kind of chopped meat. You could use chuck, you can use the butt. We'll go ahead and put our beef into the mixing bowl. We're going to season heavily with salt and pepper. Okay, this is really going to bring out the flavor of the beef. Don't be afraid to get your hands in there. Mix up your beef, get it nice and seasoned throughout, nice and evenly. The first thing we're going to want to do, our pan is already hot, we're just going to add our oil. We're going to come right into the pan with our diced meat. That sound means you're going to be getting a nice color on this meat here. You're looking for what's called a Maillard reaction, which is, a lot of people think it's the same as caramelization. It's actually not. It's a different chemical reaction with the proteins, not sugars. Remember, that color, that means flavor. So now that we're getting a little bit of browning here, I'm going to go ahead and move my meat to one side of the pan. This is a small sized rondeau, but it's large enough for this application. And I'm going to go ahead and cook our mirepoix, which is just a combination of carrot, celery, and onion. Every time we add ingredients, we like to re-season. Seasoning in layers is important because it develops an even flavor. Once I've let my onions sweat out a little bit, I'm going to add in my chopped carrots, some nice seasoning. When you season your veg, it really brings out the water content, which is what you're looking for, because in the end, you're going to want a nice sauce to be in your braise here. I'm going to go ahead and add in my celery. Okay, once our mirepoix's got a head start on our cooking, I'm going to go ahead and add in some freshly sliced garlic. I like to be pretty generous with the garlic. About 4 or 5 cloves should cover you. Come in with a spoon now and just make sure everything is incorporated. While I'm doing this, if you look at the bottom of the pan, you can see some brown residue on the bottom. That is actually fond, and that's something that you want to be able to have your sauce take up because of sheer flavor, concentrated flavor in that fond. So what we're going to do now is we're going to deglaze with some beer. Okay? And this beer is going to remove that fond from the bottom of the rondeau and give us more flavor in our liquid. And now that we're nice and hot here, I'm going to spice things up just a little bit with a little bit of fresh jalapeno pepper. Mix that throughout, get it nice and incorporated. If you're not a big jalapeno fan, bell pepper is a good substitution. Now that we're nice and hot here, I'm going to come in with my beef stock. That stock really gives a nice base from the flavor to work off of. Remember, you're trying to build layers here. All right, now that we've got all of our liquid that we're going to need for the braise, I'm going to go ahead and add in my herbs. I have here some thyme, and I like to be generous with it. It adds a nice background flavor, and I do have some chopped cilantro here, which is going to give it a little bit of zest. And it goes well with the jalapeno. Just go ahead and mix that in, incorporate everything. We're going to want to let this simmer on the stove at about 185 degrees. That is a proper braising temperature. It's not too harsh on the meat. It keeps the meat tender, and it allows the stock to actually reduce to make a nice sauce. And the final ingredient I'm going to go ahead and add in. Every stew needs a nice potato. I just have some diced russet potato here, and that's going to make it nice and hearty for us. This has been Executive Chef Nicholas Armstrong from Ciro's Restaurant at 885 2nd Avenue in Manhattan. This has been a slow-simmered beef and beer stew. I'm telling you, you got to try this at home. It's absolutely luscious. It's going to melt in your mouth. You will not be disappointed.